Happy
Well,
Monday.
happy Monday. How's the mini fridge upgrade been? Has your
Uh,
quality of life doubled?
Drastically improved. Yes. But the amount of caffeine I'm consuming has also drastically increased. And so I need to be mindful and I need to make sure that for every Diet Coke, there's at least three like sparkling waters.
That's fair. That's fair. In my book, those are both pros. More
Yes.
more caffeine and drinks are closer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been on you for that one for a while.
I was gonna say that's a legit marketing tactic. Get a mini fridge for your office.
Yes. Yes, it's amazing. Um, awesome. Well, should we give the people a little sneak peek into what we're talking about today?
Sure. I know you have a handful of ideas. I have three specific ideas that I thought were pretty interesting. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, please.
I'll just share a sneak peek before we start. So the first one is a email CTA tactic that's been working pretty well for me. I think in the previous episode, actually, we talked about how I've been having not struggling, but having to learn how to get people to take action when doing email for a B2B offer. And so I think I finally cracked it, and I'm gonna share some things that have been working for me on that front. The other
Dope.
thing is an approach that I thought was pretty interesting. I cannot say the name, but someone who has been pretty hesitant to do sales webinars in the past has found like a way to execute them in a way that feels more kind of value first and still get
Hmm.
them to work and convert pretty well. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. And then the final one that I had was a specific type of LinkedIn post that has also been working pretty well for me for generating calls and like inbound leads.
Beautiful. All right. On my end, we've also got a very specific type of post. I just had a client that had a massive outlier compared to their regular posts
Mm,
using this method. Um, I'm going to share about this tool that I'm testing
mm,
that I'm seeing some really interesting results for so far.
mm,
And I'm going to talk about some of there's been some big talk with the VCs in
mm.
on paid marketing on Twitter and some really interesting insights there. And then we might touch on a gray hat marketing tactic or two.
Ooh, I forgot about those, but I'm actually looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we decided that'd be a fun section to throw in here and there.
Agreed. Since we both have a LinkedIn one, do you want to start with yours and then I can share my format?
Sure. So I have a client who so every client kind of performs at a different level depending on their niche, their how good they've been previously. But this client in particular, they say their best months ever. They were getting like 1,000 followers a month.
Mm,
Um, they came to me. They were averaging maybe like 300 or 400. Since we've been working together, it's been kind of around the 600, 700. I think we had like our best month so far has been like 750, but it's been kind of averaging 600, I would say.
okay.
That's relatively small compared to some other clients who might be, a couple thousand per month, but that's kind of where they're at. And we had a post that this last week got 100,000 plus impressions, 2,000 likes,
Dang.
and drove 600 followers. It's like,
Mm.
oh, that's what we normally do in a month, and we did it in a post, and uh, that's a very nice way to do it.
Was it a
So what
giveaway?
what was the type of post? It was not a
Yes.
giveaway. It was not a
Mm,
giveaway. It was an announcement post. So
mm,
announcement post is basically like a launch post. If you're launching a company, you're going to raise money or something, except you're not launching. You're just like announcing something that happened within the business. So like, hey, I landed a massive client, or hey, we partnered with XYZ company, or we made this amazing hire, or it could be, you're announcing that you're raising money. In this case, this person had been promoted essentially to a bigger role within the company. And we just made a post about it and it blew up. And so if you have something momentous happen in your business, like make an announcement post, like say, hey, guess what? You could even literally just say announcement and then say what the announcement is. And I like to envision you're in a big like group and you stand up on a table and you're like clinking your glass and everyone looks at you and they're like, "Oh, what's this person gonna say?" It just gets everybody's attention and it really stands out from the kind of everyday feed.
That's a great analogy. I love that. I think that the interesting thing is that, I mean, I've seen them work, but I think that result is pretty remarkable. So I'm curious if you did something kind of different in terms of like, did you use a story to like, almost like from a packaging perspective, or something along those lines to make it perform so well?
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, Let me just pull it up. I can't share, obviously, um, who this is, but yeah, we made it a story. So we basically shared their journey of
Mm,
like with that company of when they started and what had happened, and then so we actually started it with like the headline. We wanted
mm,
it to be very clear like what the
yep.
announcement was, but then we went into the story and explained it. Shared a picture, said
Mm,
that we're excited for the next chapter, kind of thing, and
that's
yeah,
awesome.
that's how it worked.
Was there any kind of like special CTA or thing that he wanted to, or they wanted to get out of the post, or just the growth?
Just to get it out there.
Mm, I love it.
A lot of times these are great times though to attach a CTA and like, oh, so if you're interested in this, book a call, but they didn't have anything specific like that.
I see. Yeah, I did one like a
This
similar
was
one.
on Twitter, by the way. This wasn't
Oh,
on LinkedIn.
oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think, I don't know. Like I think for both of us can be, I think we might take for granted the fact that sometimes people on the internet they do like to cheer someone else on, and like that's, I think, a big reason why these work so well. But for some people it can be scary, and they might think, like, why would other people care about it? But in reality, people do want to cheer you on.
Yeah, and I know when I was going to like college, everyone who graduated college, they'd always do a post and be like, I graduated college and now I'm taking a job with XYZ company. And
Hmm.
those posts always did extremely well. And that's just a pattern I've seen. It's like every time you announce that have a new job, or those are usually the times where people that never post will finally post.
Yep.
It's like those posts just really stand out. And the thing is you can do one a quarter. Like you could find something to announce every quarter, like period. So, absolutely a tactic worth implementing regularly.
It's true. And I was actually texting you over the weekend because I might do one on X soon, just because I want to get back to the platform, and I think it makes sense to do it. So I
Yeah,
might ask you for that little post as an example behind the scenes to check it out.
I got you. I got you. And I would say intro posts and announcement posts are a little distinct,
True.
but you can combine them as well.
True. Cool. I love it. Any other pro tips or things that you would want, or like that you think it would be helpful for people to keep in mind if they wanted to give it a try?
I think media always makes it stronger. Like, so if you can include some type of image, I think it's going to perform better.
Yeah.
But that's really that having a good hook, making it clear that it's an announcement from the beginning are the key parts. But tell me about the post tactic that you're thinking about.
Cool. Yeah. So this one has been working pretty well for me. This is a post format that we have both implemented in the past. I had just not used it for a long time, and I wanted to kind of accelerate things on the client acquisition front. And since I knew it's kind of a proven format, I decided to like ramp it up. And so last week I did two of them, two variations, and they both perform pretty well, both in terms of impressions. I think they both were over, one in particular, but both of them were above average in terms of like regular engagement metrics, like views and all of that good stuff. But they also both led to a direct conversation with potential leads, for
Nice.
my services in my agency. The post format specifically that I'm referring to here is a pitch in public post. The whole idea is, instead of just sending a DM and pitching someone on one of your services and without, any context, which is what most people do, I wrote a post, um, showcasing how I would go about implementing one of my services for people, one of, again, like one person per post. So, but the process was kind of the same. And so for this specific post, I wanted to also drive leads for a new offer that I've been testing, which is a viral giveaway lead magnet offer, basically lead magnets as a service. And what I did in the post was featured two different people, again, one person per post. And each of those posts, I would essentially showcase in public how I would go about creating a lead, like a banger lead magnet for each of these two people and why, right? And like why I think that's also like such a awesome opportunity for them. And yeah, that was kind of the idea. But again, both of them performed pretty well. They both led to me having a conversation with those two people, plus
Mhm.
other people kind of reaching out inbound and being like, "Oh, that was awesome. Can I, talk to you about doing that
Mm.
same thing for my business?" And that just, I think we both have had pretty good results every time we execute this tactic. And so I was like, I just need to keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Just to double click on a couple things. So, you in the posts themselves, you tagged those people,
Yes.
and they both replied to you. So,
Yep.
100% hit rate.
Yep.
Additionally, you got some other people who also reached out and were interested in that service because
Correct.
of those posts that they saw.
Hmm.
And I'm curious, were those people, those other people that reached out, were they similar to, like, are they the same type of persona?
Well, the caveat is that I was not that they were like extremely special, but I wasn't also, also wasn't like targeting like a super common persona either. And so
Hmm.
all of that to say, they weren't like as good of leads as the people I was kind of targeting with the post, but some of them were kind of close. So so
Yeah.
obviously not all of them are like same level of quality or same level of qualification, but still
Hmm.
some good prospects.
I love it. I love it. You think any of them will close? Think there's a good chance?
Well, now that I kind of revealed who those people are because the
Yeah,
posts are
yeah,
out there,
yeah.
but I,
Gotta
I
be
I will
hesitant.
I will say that
But you got those two. I'm sure you're gonna do a bunch more. So when the people go check your
yes,
LinkedIn, they're gonna have to look through 20.
that's
Plus,
true.
they might be people that are outside of, they're not the people that you tagged. They could just have just come inbound, right?
That's true. So I will say one of them will definitely close at some point.
Nice.
Maybe not this month, but for sure at some point. And then I'm still having calls with like people, the other people who came from the post. And so, but yeah, I'm seeing some good calls getting booked from it. So pretty
I love
bullish.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. So we've helped other people do these before, right? And I
Hmm.
feel like the biggest constraint is people just get in their own heads about it, and they're like, I'm gonna tag somebody and I'm gonna tell them what they're doing wrong
Hmm.
in public. Like I can't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Nerve
Which
wracking.
which I think the big reframe that you and I have had is like, one, you come at it from an angle of like, this person's amazing, like they're doing so many things right. And if they wanted to level up their whatever a little bit more, here's something that they could do. And
Hmm.
so it's really like educational, it's friendly.
Hmm.
You and I think I could speak for you with this as well, have never had anybody get like mad. At least we've never had the person that we've tagged get mad at us for doing this.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes some people get mad and it's not the person you're writing the post about, which is like what? But yeah, actually to that point or to your point, both of these people not only replied to me like with some kind of like interest, but they also were like blown away with the post and like how I executed it and like my suggestion and they were both extremely receptive. And so yeah, I think it's all a matter of uh doing it from an angle of like trying to be constructive, like this is
Mm,
a nice, rather than just pointing mistakes, suggesting improvements and upgrades and framing it that way. And also, I also like to always start by complimenting what they are doing well.
yeah, yeah. I think I saw both of those because I'm a homie and I still go and comment on your posts every day. Um, but I think something that you do extraordinarily well is that a lot of people don't is you go the extra mile when it comes to the visual. And
Mm,
so what you do is you have a before of
yeah.
like, you show their little LinkedIn post that they did, and then you have
Mm,
an after, and you actually go and create a landing page that has the copy that you would put, and you screenshot it. And that is it kind of shows your skill. It showcases it, right? It's not just
yeah.
if it was just post copy, it wouldn't be nearly as compelling in my opinion.
I agree. And I think, and we've talked about it before, especially when we were kind of sharing this idea and this framework with other people. But the whole idea of doing this is like showing, not telling your expertise. And so I feel like that's kind of the ultimate way of doing it, right? If I can, uh, I feel like for designers it's easier because if you design websites by definition you show your work by actually creating something visual, but when you're creating like marketing assets or copy, it's a little bit harder. And so I do like to, like, as you said, kind of go the extra mile and create those mock-ups and those things to make it more tangible.
Yeah, massive pro tip, by the way, for anyone who has a super visual. I would say email marketing for ecom would fit there, as well as
Yep.
website designers, landing page designers. But I have a friend who only posts pictures of what he's working on that day. Hey, here's a website I'm working on today. And that's his only source of lead gen. And he does multiple six figures a year, like pretty chill dude. Like he's not trying to build something massive, but that's all he does. And it
That's
works.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, that's kind of what I want. This is kind of a tangent, but that's kind of what I like about X too and Twitter. That you can
Yeah.
just riff, show the sawdust of what you're working on, and it can work pretty well.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I mean, I think that works on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, I
Fair.
see what you're saying. What
Yeah.
what do you think makes X unique about that?
I feel like, and I've been talking about it with another friend of ours recently, where we're actually creating an email course funnel for them. They also have a social ghostwriting agency, and in the email course that we're creating for them, we're trying to explain the difference between X and LinkedIn, and I actually like the analogy that they come up with. And the analogy was X feels like a group chat, whereas LinkedIn feels like a educational webinar, where it's like like X being like
Mm,
more casual, fast paced. It almost feels like a public notebook of things that you're
yeah,
sharing, whereas LinkedIn feels a little bit more polished, more like more. Yeah, I guess polish is the right term. So
yeah.
that's why I was thinking that.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I generally agree. And also, you can definitely stand out by taking some of that, like the formats from
100%.
other platforms. And
Yep.
if you were that kind of casual, like build in public on LinkedIn, like you would stand out for sure.
Hmm.
With that said, what do you have any tips on like, making a nice visual or like are you going and actually building these landing pages? Are you having AI whip something up to increase the, perceived value of your pitch in public?
I have my in-house graphic designer Claude and ChatGPT
Let's go.
mug those up. Like we're living exciting times. I feel like last
Yeah.
year when we had our little cohort and we were sharing how to do some of these things with people, like the tech wasn't as good. Like you had to do a lot of these things manually still, but now tools are getting out of control, and so you can do a lot of crazy, very cool things with AI.
Dude, that just makes me feel like there's a big arbitrage right now because most people still don't know that. And
Yep,
you can go create mock-ups in like, 30 seconds.
100%.
Um, but that's not going to last for very long.
Just like that's why we're doing a podcast and sharing new ideas every week.
Yes, agreed.
What was your next one?
Well, I'll do the signal-based LinkedIn tool that I'm testing. So imagine this. You, um, you're a diligent marketer and you are posting every day. And, once a week you go in and you check, okay, who visited my profile? Who liked my post this week? Who commented my post this week? You make a big list. You say, all
Mm.
right, these are people who actually fit my ICP. Let me go and message them. Instead, what if you had a software tool that could send you this? Uh, if you could
Here.
let me share my screen.
Yep. Go for it.
So I'm not endorsing this tool, which is why I've blanked some things out, including this person. in particular. Do you see this okay?
Yeah, I see the screenshot.
Okay, so I get their name, I get their title, like their bio, I get the company that they work with. It says what the ICP matches. So when I like got this tool set up, I
Yeah.
basically selected the stuff that I care about, and so it
Hmm.
gives me this guy has a 89% match.
Mm.
Match reasoning. They're like, oh, founder, executive director, San Diego, marketing services, 11 to 50 employees and I get their LinkedIn profile, and they said they commented on a post on Monday, right? So it's
Interesting.
Monday today. I get this, I don't know, 10 minutes after it happens, and it's basically like a lead, and I could literally just go, click on their LinkedIn profile, and send them a message, like ASAP, and treat it like yeah, like I'm getting a lead. I just realized that I left the name at the bottom left. So if anyone if anyone does want to look, that's what it's called, the tool that I'm using, but it's brand
Mm.
new, so I wanted to test it before I endorse it anywhere. Um, Full transparency, I'm very beginning stages of using this tool, but so far it's been very interesting.
Dude, this is awesome. It reminds me of another tool that's called, I think, R2B2 or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, RB2B.
RB2V, yes, which is essentially you put a pixel on your website, and then anytime uh, someone from your ecosystem, like someone that's traceable, visits your website, the tool scrapes their information and then sends them or sends their information to your Slack, just like the way you were sharing, which is awesome as well. But this one is interesting because what, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like whenever someone engage with any of your LinkedIn things, whether it's viewing your profile or commenting on your content, then that's when you get those like Slack messages.
hmm Yeah, I think the profile visits, I think that's private. Um,
Mm.
what you'd find really interesting about this is you don't have to plug your LinkedIn in. So like you don't connect your LinkedIn at all. So there's no automation tool. What you
Interesting.
do is you just enter your LinkedIn profile and they have their own LinkedIn accounts that will, because all of this is public information. It's people
That
that like or comment on your posts.
that was gonna be my next question, which is the classic, are we afraid of like, or is there any risk with like LinkedIn automations there? But it looks like there isn't.
Yeah, so that was that's the nice part that I really liked about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even tried it. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of I guess the other thing too would be a lot of these websites like scrapers, basically the R B2B. There's a few other ones now that I've seen popping up. I don't know if they're technically legal. Like they have,
In Europe, they are. I mean, in Europe for sure they aren't. That's why a lot of them only work in the US because of like privacy and like cookie. You can imagine they use pretty like aggressive cookies and like tracking
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Maybe when you say accept all cookies, you're kind of screwing yourself there. They get your entire, internet history or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I know a lot of people are like, how did these guys get my email? How did they get my phone number? Like, why are they calling me like 5 minutes after I visited their website?
Yeah.
With this one, it's all public, so people aren't as creeped out about it.
Dude, this is awesome. And my brain is firing. So I'll share a handful of use cases that I think. I mean, I'm gonna install this thing right after we record. But I'll share a few ideas that
I
came to
might need to
mind.
connect you with the founder, by the way. He had to like personally onboard me because it's
Uh,
so new.
well, it sounds pretty exclusive. I'm game. Okay, first thing that comes to mind or came to mind was using that Slack message to then trigger a SAP, like a Zapier automation that uses like a Claude prompt and then does research on the like further research on the lead. Like for example, I'll share I have a handful of prompts that whenever I'm prepping for a sales call, the prompt looks up the prospect, and then I have not only some context on their background and their business and stuff, but I also have Claude conduct like an audit for like the things that they have or don't have that I care about. Like, do they have a newsletter opt-in? Are they posting content consistently? Like those kind of things. And so you could see how once you get that message could trigger an automation that then runs a prompt like that. And then it goes back to the Slack thread. It posts the summary and maybe even like like a DM that you could send that person based on the research that you got, and then you don't have
Mm.
to think about crafting the message because, or at least not as much because Claude already did the V1 for you.
Yeah. So, for example, you have five things you care about. Do they have a landing page? Are they
Hmm.
posting content regularly? Do they have
Yep.
a segmentation survey after their
Hmm.
landing page? Maybe like a handful of other things. It comes back and it says, yes, they have this. Yes, they have this. But no, they're missing these three things.
Correct.
And so you immediately know, okay, those are the gaps. You could even have a draft a message that's a very like free consultation type message.
Yep.
And that could be your outreach message. Hey, by the way, thanks for the comment.
Hmm.
Saw that I went ahead and took a look at your stuff and found that I found three areas that you could improve immediately. One, two, three.
Yep.
If you want to chat more, would love to. Something like that.
Totally. Hmm.
It's a great idea. I think I might have to implement it.
Well, after
The
you,
no code ninja hat coming on right now.
yeah, I mean,
For
I
those who
cannot.
don't know, Daniel spent t too many years in the no code softwares, right?
Yeah, building like gazillion saps. So it's ingrained in me at this point.
I love it.
Cool, but yeah,
Um,
you'll have to connect me with the founder because I would love
okay.
to check it out.
Yeah, sounds good. Tell me about what's working on email right now.
Cool. It's gonna sound very simple, but I didn't think to be okay. I'll start with this. I would see in the past other people execute this tactic, and I would be pretty skeptical, and I thought it was like inefficient or whatever, and then turns out it's working pretty well for me after I gave it a try. So
Mm.
the context is, as I shared in the previous episode, so for the past few months, I've been trying to use now my email list. Not In the past, I would primarily use it to sell info products and like promote similar things. Now I'm using it more so to obviously on top of sharing valuable free things, I'm also trying to use it as a marketing channel for my agency. And so the primary call to action has been booking a call with me and or my team. And that wasn't working as well. Like I was getting a lot of clicks on my book a call link,
Not
but
like it does for coaching.
no, yeah, for PGA, for context, like we book um, dozens, if not hundreds of calls sometimes per week or in per month using email. But for B2B, I went into this thinking it was gonna be or the same things that work that have worked for us on the coaching front would work for me on the services front, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that they weren't, and so I had to get creative and start testing some things. And after a handful of failed experiments, I found or stumbled upon this, and it's been working pretty well. And the tactic is essentially giving enough information about what it is that you are, selling or offering in the email, but then instead of linking to a sales page, instead of linking to a Calendly link, instead of any of those traditional things, you literally just ask people to reply to the email saying they're interested, and you'll send them more information. And so that's literally it.
I I'm starting to believe that the end result for every social platform is comment to get
Yep.
as a CTA. It's
Yep.
like that. It's the lowest barrier. It's the lowest friction. People just comment and then you just follow up there.
Yeah, and like it's I feel like my working theory on why this is working better is because it feels lower stakes than booking a call directly, right? Like it's lower
Or even an
stakes.
application.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's lower stakes to just reply to an email, say, "Hey, yeah, give me more info. That sounds interesting," than yeah, actually filling out an application or booking a call with someone for like 45 minutes or an hour, And so, and it's interesting because it's also helping me like I've had a lot of people come out of the woodwork saying awesome things and like saying, dude, I've been following your stuff for such a long time. I would actually be interested in like talking to you and seeing how we could work together. But I feel like those same people were just clicking on my book a call link and not taking the action, and
Mhm.
now that's working so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I do this on my welcome email
Mm,
and I get if I'm getting a lot of email subscribers, like I'll often get a dozen in a day
Yeah.
replies.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't use it that well. Like I give away a free resource, and then I have a little PS statement, and I like ask them what their business is, and
Mm.
like start a conversation from there. I feel like that's something I could do. I could that message when I give them the free resource, I could leverage that a
Optimize
lot
it.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I used to have something along those lines with my newsletter welcome email, but like 99% of my email subs are now coming from lead magnets and they don't get that same welcome email anymore. And so,
yeah.
yeah, I kind of lost it, but yeah.
Yeah, I still have them actually go through my entire welcome sequence. So even if they get the lead magnet email and
Mhm.
they're a new person, they'll get my welcome sequence.
Yeah, I have one too, but it's like all the emails after the first one are the same, but the first one, which is where I had the call to action to get like reply and I'll send you X, Y, and Z. That's what I
Hmm,
had just for the newsletter, and so I kind of lost it. But
I understand.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a hassle too. I mean,
it
I'm in
is.
there sending that message every day. I could have a virtual assistant or something helping there, but it is what it is.
Yep.
Uh, cool. Should we jump to another one?
Yeah, let's do it. What else do you have?
So, do you want to hate on paid marketing for a second?
Sure.
So this is Andrew Chen.
Mhm.
He's like really famous guy,
Yep.
A16Z, and he had this post that he said, "Where's the original?" Okay, yeah, it's this one. He's lots of AI companies starting to experiment with paid marketing. So here's my take. Paid acquisition is a tax on your product's defensibility. The moment you can't outspend the incumbents and competitors, you die. Build channels that get cheaper as you grow, or you're just renting your growth. So
Mm.
you can see this got 627K views. People started like getting super outraged about this and like about all the paid marketing people, especially. And then he came in and he shared like all of his thoughts about it and a few things that were interesting. So he said paid marketing is much worse than organic on every metric, including conversion, return on investment. Um, Startups work on a fast, so he's speaking about startups specifically. They work on
Yeah.
a fast time scale. They can't manage their LTV to CAC correctly beyond a month's time frame. Risk is asymmetric. It's very easy to like destroy your returns. Did I lose you? Looks
Oh,
like your camera might have froze.
here.
I'll keep
Yeah.
going while you fix it.
Yeah, keep going.
Um, the age of easy, cheap inventory is over. It's like pricing is controlled. Let's see what other ones were interesting. If your product is growing organically already, you might just be cannibalizing and pulling forward demand you'd already get anyway. High reliance on paid indicates weakness in the core product. You can't build 100 million plus daily active user product with the majority of it coming from paid user acquisition. Uh, Going majority paid makes it way harder to raise capital down the line. And ultimately, he says that paid is the most commoditized marketing channel, and so like you're you're basically becoming more of a commodity if that's your main acquisition channel. So curious to hear what are your thoughts on this?
Interesting. Well, I do agree with some of them. So if you scroll over, well, it's fine. I think I can try to remember them. The one that the CAG LTV point, I think makes sense, and like that's been something that we've learned. It's kind of crucial, right? Like if you don't know your math and you don't know how much you're able to spend to acquire a customer, then things can get out of control pretty quickly. And so I can see that being a fair point. Um, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because what he's basically saying, and I guess this is like the context is that this is specific, or he's talking specifically about marketing for startups, but he's saying that basically your product should inherently come like if you have a good product, the product inherently creates distribution, and I don't know if I agree with that, and I'm not sorry, the one of those famous fancy VCs, so maybe
Hmm.
I'm wrong there, but that's one thing that I thought was interesting. The other thing that even though I agree that organic is better on every single metric, but there's also the flip side, which is organic is very unreliable, and like maybe not very. I think you can create some baseline kind of performance where like you'll if you keep doing the things that you should be doing, you'll get X amount, at least X amount of impressions, leads, whatnot. But there's also volatility in organic, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think startup world is a little bit different, right? Where
Totally.
they're looking more at like for every user that you acquire, how many users do they bring on board as well?
Yep.
And so the organic quote, like that
Viral.
scales
Yeah.
maybe a little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
more in a viral sensation. Whereas if you're running a email marketing or a social ghostwriting agency, it's probably not gonna the product's not gonna go viral.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're playing the more commoditized game, not the completely net new idea that goes viral by itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Whenever like I used to hate on Pay 2 until we tried it, and then I was completely humbled. And I think a lot of people completely underestimate how much skill it goes into like making paid work. And so that's kind of the other, small thought that I would share there.
Yeah, yeah. End of the day, they both work. They both have their own use cases.
I think that what we've seen work best is not either organic or paid, but just combining them, and I
Yeah,
think there isn't a lot of people just trying that. It's usually like I'm fully paid or I'm fully organic, and like they are for whatever reason skeptical or like um of the other. But in reality, I think when you combine them, that's when you get very dangerous.
agreed. Completely agreed. Anyway, let's move on to another one. So we have gray hat marketing tip of the week.
Okay,
Should we should we do that?
let's do it, and then we can wrap up with the webinar one.
I love it. Or why don't we could do the webinar and wrap up with a gray hat.
Okay, let's. I like ending on that
Yes.
gray hat one. So the
Sweet.
webinar one. So this is a person. Again, I don't feel good revealing their name, but they're essentially running live bootcamps similar to the offer that I described last week that we've been experimenting with. So almost like a 2-week cohort with multiple live sessions. I'm not sure what their price point is, but I would think it's probably in the 800 to 2K per seat range. So like a mid-ticket type of offer. And this person in particular has been one of those people who like feels very icky about like doing a Hormozy
They're a
style
true creator. They don't want to go hard
yeah,
sell their
they don't
audience.
they don't want to go and like run the Jason Flatley playbook on like a bunch of people live, and that's fair. Sometimes that can be hard, and I get it, I respect it. But so they've been kind of trying to figure out how to make something work though, because you can say whatever you want about webinars, but they work pretty well, right? And so their solution, which I thought was pretty interesting, was to like again have some kind of live marketing event or conversion event that could help them drive enrollments without necessarily having to quote unquote sell their soul. And what they came up with was essentially running the first live session of the paid bootcamp that they were going to host for members of the bootcamp, like only. They decided to open that up and run it as a free event. And so they invited everyone on their list to the first session of the bootcamp, and then at the end they were, well, uh, hope you enjoyed the sneak peek. If you just want to keep
Yeah.
getting access to everything else, here's a link so you can enroll. And it was like
Yeah.
a great, almost like a Trojan horse offer of like,
Yeah.
here's the first session that we're gonna host. We'll let anyone take it for free. And then anyone who wants to continue, here's the link so you can pay. And that was the
Mm.
pitch. Pretty
So
interesting.
2K price point, how many sessions were there in the like total?
Great question. I'm not completely sure about all the ins and outs because I haven't like taken the time to like go and check their whole offer, but I would think it's probably between 4 to 8, most likely between 6 to 8. So it was like
Okay.
15% of the curriculum or something along those lines.
Gotcha. And it's like a 2 hour session or something. And at the end,
Probably.
you
Yeah.
pitched
Uh-huh.
them.
Yep.
Do you have any stats like on how it converted or anything?
No, but I
Or
know
like
they're
what makes you
crushing it.
think that it did well?
Um, a- anecdotally, that's what they said. Um,
Okay.
and they have had like they've been running their info business for a long time, and so they
Mm,
have data on what a regular launch looks like, a launch plus a webinar looks like, and then now this. And the way they shared it, they said it was like kind of a breakthrough of sorts
interesting.
for their marketing. And so, I mean, I think it kind of makes sense, right? Because you're combining a live conversion event, which if you execute it well, that it's proven to work pretty effective, it be pretty effective. And then the other thing that you are um, kind of integrating there is that idea that we were talking about earlier with the pitch in public post of showing instead of telling. And so you're
Yeah.
literally just showing people how valuable the paid course is going to be or bootcamp or whatever. And then you're giving them a free teaser for free. And then they have the option to continue if they want to.
The thing I'm most interested in is how they use urgency and or scarcity, or if they use those at all to get people to take action. Because if you have people on, say, on a Wednesday, you have them on one of these live webinars, workshops, but your next session isn't until the following Monday, and they could buy it all the way up until then. It's
Yeah.
like you're not really going to get people to take action while they're live with you. Whereas if you say, you get some extra bonus or you get some type of discount, if you take action today,
Yep.
like you probably get a lot more takers. And the
100%.
reason we know this, by the way, is you and I actually tried this because we ran a cohort last year, and
Yes.
we gave away one of our 8 sessions live,
Mhm.
like our
Yep.
one that was probably the most highly rated, and we did an amazing job with it. And then we just didn't do a great job on the urgency scarcity side. I still think it
Yep.
contributed significantly to the sales, but yeah, that's why it makes me really curious what they use there.
I agree. I mean, actually, I forgot that that was our framing for that webinar, but it's true. Like, we literally gave away one of the sessions from the cohort, so that's true. If I mean, I don't know because I didn't really again dig as deep as I would have liked to. Um, but in our experience, what's worked best is having, as you said, some kind of either bonus or discount. And the if you want to really push it, and the most effective one is usually, and I guess this depends on the audience, but in our experience, having that discount or bonus expire by the end the webinar ends. It's like, and you're sharing screen and you're like, okay, this is the thing that you're getting if you take action.
Yeah.
And I know I'm pushing it here, but like it works. If you want to get access to it and unlock the bonus or the discount, you have to take action before the webinar closes because then it expires. But
Yeah.
I will say though, the nice
And
thing about
suddenly it goes from a 90-minute webinar to a 5
a
hour webinar or
yeah,
a 72-hour webinar like
or
Hormozy did.
3 day or 5 day, whatever. The final thing that I'll say is that that's the other nice thing though about having some kind of live offer, which is they inherently have that kind of deadline to join. Like if you're
True.
selling a digital product, like you can literally just sell that whenever, anytime. Whereas like a boot camp or something like that, it has like a start date, and so there is like an actual deadline to join. So
Agreed. Yes, very interesting. All right. I have a gray hat idea.
hit me.
Do you have one as well, or you just want me to run with this one?
No, I run with this one, and I'll
All
try to
right.
come up with one for next one.
So some people know this, some people don't, but I met with a guy at Prospect who yeah, got an intro to him. He's basically trying to figure out if we could figure out some type of partnership. And he had a 7-figure agency
Mm,
that exclusively does one thing. He helps people do launch posts. So when they launch their business, that's all he does. He helps them
mm,
create the post. He helps them create the video, and then most importantly, he pays everyone under the sun money so that they will go and retweet it, comment on it, blah blah blah. So first off, a lot of people will see these launch posts and they have no idea what's going
Behind
into
the
it behind the
scenes.
scenes. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is they're pretty much guaranteed to get over 1 million views. Like no matter what the post copy says, no matter what the video is,
Mm.
because they just pay heavily. You know, this guy, he's doing 7 figures off of just helping some companies do launches, which means these companies are spending very
Big
heavily
money.
because they're
Yeah.
paying basically ad spend, even though it's going to creators, and then they're paying the agency as well, right? So
Yep.
um, that is super fascinating. There was this one last week. Somebody made this hilarious like snippet where they basically just scrolled through like all the people that had quote retweeted it and like it looked very obvious. They like had 50 different people that were all saying like the most positive things about it. And on X, very easy to tell if
Mhm.
you want to see. You could do this on LinkedIn as well, but you just click on like view quotes and you could just scroll through and see who people are paying. So if you ever want to dig deep and find the network of who gets paid, that's how you do it.
Mm.
But anyway, I found that fascinating. The second thing is, or go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll finish the thought and then I'll ask because I naturally have questions.
Yes. The second thing is the videos that people are creating for these launches are just getting absolutely ridiculous. Okay. So I showed you one last week.
Yeah.
Of a guy who like starts with this. This is terrible. Like, I don't know if we're gonna get kicked off of YouTube for this, but there's like an American guy and he's like waterboarding a Chinese guy. And like that's how it starts off for the first like 5 or 10 seconds. And he goes into how a bunch of Chinese companies are like ripping off American e-com brands, and so he gets rid of those. So like absolutely ridiculous. There's another one this last week that came out, and the founder's like he promises that his product does something so fast that he jumps out of a plane. He says, "I'm not going to pull the parachute until this is done," and like he has a video of him like jumping out of the plane and
Like a
stuff.
real
It's just
video or like AI
a real
generated?
video, real
Oh,
video. You want me to show it
really?
to you? I can
Dude,
show
that
you if you want.
sure, let's do it.
All right, I'll share my screen right here. So this was it right here. I'll just leave it on small screen. Can you hear this? If you can't, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. No, I can't, but it's fine. Dude, this is insane.
My life is in your hands. He jumps out.
Jesus. And how do they know? Like they have like a
And they've got,
microphone?
say that again.
Like how does he know? How will he
Yeah, they
know?
just have some type of
Okay.
connection. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But they show their software like performing or whatever, and then the timer is going down. Just like they're doing this for a launch video, like to launch their product. It's the
Dude,
craziest thing I've ever seen. It's like Red Bull for
I was
launching
gonna
the
say,
product.
yeah, that's wild. And like to be fair, to be honest, like I'm kind of disappointed that it only has 900 likes.
Or 900K. Oh yeah, it has 800K views. So
Fair, fair. But dude,
Twitter
you're
gets a low like to view ratio in general,
okay. Yeah, still, dude, I would expect more
especially if
likes.
it's not quote organic.
Yeah. So, okay, a handful of questions because I also find this fascinating. So, first, is there like I would imagine this is more common in the startup world, but like is there like a specific type of business or industry where you've seen this be more common?
Um, so ask me that again.
Yeah, so I'm get like that one, for example, seemed to be like QuickBooks or something along those lines. So like that's a SaaS business, already established, or like venture backed. That I'm not sure if that's the case with QuickBooks, but like it seems like that's more like a venture backed play. And so I'm just curious if you've seen something along these lines work with an agency or something more like less sexy, more cash flowy.
Yeah. I have, and I've actually done it for some clients. So like I had a
Mm,
client, I mean, this is pretty broad, so I feel fine saying it. They had a fractional CFO service, and they got it to seven figures a year off of the back of our content. And then they decided that they wanted to launch a bookkeeping service.
Mm.
And we did basically a big launch post that they decided to do that. And then their bookkeeping business is now bigger than their fractional CFO business.
Wait, so did you have them jump off a plane?
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah, this was my post. Yeah, no.
Okay, you've seen them work for other industries, though. That's nice.
And you
Um,
don't have to have a crazy video. I haven't done videos for my clients like this. All I've done is, had some type of cool image with it or
have you tried the no hat the gray hat approach? No, no shame if you have.
no shit. Um, Let me think. I've been doing this for a while. I probably have paid for some retweets on big posts before. I can't think of like a on that one specifically that I was mentioning. If
Yeah,
like a lot of things we just leave 100% organic.
yeah,
I don't dip my toes in that world very often, but I have some clients who come to me that are already like doing that and they want me to continue it, and so I
yeah.
will run that for them. So I'm familiar with how it works
You've
a
dabbled.
little
You've
bit at
dabbled.
least.
I've
I've
dabbled.
dabbled.
I've dabbled too. Just out of
You
curiosity.
got
But
to
yeah,
dabble.
yeah. It's interesting. And like honestly, like the argument there is like if you can pay the platform directly to like show it to more people, why can't you just pay other people to also like give it visibility?
And the truth is, I don't know why it's considered gray hat. Well, okay, yes, I do. I think it's terms of service.
Mm,
Like they don't want you to get like game engagement at all.
yeah.
But it happens on every platform. People pay influencers all the time on Instagram, whether it's to help boost their posts or just to sponsor it even. Like,
Yeah.
and that's Instagram's not getting paid, and they
Hmm.
obviously they want to be the middleman there, but people will just reach out directly. And
Yeah.
so these platforms want to control everything that they can. And yeah, a lot of times people will find a workaround.
Interesting. Well, that's also the premise behind like engagement groups and things like that, right? Like you're essentially paying for engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, I might get some juice going for my
So,
I'm back to X post.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You do. Yeah, that's funny.
This was fun.
Yeah, that was good. Till next
Any
week.
Until next week. I think that's the pot.
All right. Any should we give any teasers for next week? Do we have some?
Let's see what we got real quick. Tun, tun, tun.
I'd love to talk about that Facebook ad newsletter high ticket funnel. I don't think I mentioned that last time, but I
Yeah,
still think it's super interesting.
yeah. Okay, I have one. This is a very so most people try to grow their newsletter as much as they can. This is a strategy where you're trying to do the opposite, and this is something I think you know him, but something that a mutual friend of ours or person that we both know used to build a seven-figure agency in a year, while also trying to keep their newsletters very, very intentionally small. And like it
Hmm.
was the complete opposite approach of what most people do, and I think this is pretty interesting and underrated. So that's something that I wanna touch on next week too.
Private newsletter strategy.
Yes.
And then one more that might be interesting is I found a newsletter who doesn't post just once daily. They post, was it 6 or 7 times every
Nine.
single
I
day?
think you
Oh, it
said
was nine. It
nine.
was 9 times.
That's crazy.
And so definitely questioning what that looks like. Also, like I joined their email list and I actually didn't get any emails. So like I don't know if that's, but the thing is that I could see it on their website, so I'm not
Yeah,
actually sure. It's
that's
pretty interesting
fascinating.
though.
Well, okay, last one. Since this is just came to mind, I think it could be a great topic too. Hormozy recently dropped a video. It was, I think, more so like a webinar, and then he or posted the replay. But it was basically like an AI masterclass where he shows how he's using AI, and he gave like
I
very
watched
good.
it.
Yeah, so he shared some interesting frameworks there. He also shared that he's now writing like 16 newsletters in like 4 hours. And basically his whole newsletter, like all of his newsletters for the month, and he shares how, and I thought that was pretty fascinating.
I don't think he's hiring any email ghostwriters, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not, but we can
Yeah.
still use him as an example
Yes, yes.
for the less savvy folks.
Amazing.
Cool.
Well, until next week.
Till next week. Cheers, bro.
Peace.